So, folks, you know how I've been talking about the fact that Donald Trump isn't doing too well, like, physically? Like, Donald Trump is, we've all seen the face droop, very clearly involuntary. We've all seen the swollen hands with the horrible makeup cover job. We've all seen the crazy ankles. We've all seen this happening to the president of the United States, beloved by us all, surely. That goes without saying. But it it's with trepidation in my heart that I am here to tell all of you that he might not be doing so hot like his doctors have been telling us. In fact, I've been saying for a while now, boy howdy, it sure looks like he's having mini strokes. A series of which can precede a very large stroke. And now, of course, all of this, we all love Trump here, all of us number one Trump fans, right? We would never want anything to happen to our big sweaty boy, okay? But of course, it made total sense the other day when he announced that he was going to have a bonus medical checkup. He's just doing so healthy that they are sending him in to have his heart and various muscles overpower the machinery for a second time in order to, assure all of us just how virile and healthy he is at a bajillion years old, right? Well, what's interesting is that everything he's talked about since then seems to indicate that perhaps this wasn't just an additional bonus yearly physical. And you all are familiar with your bonus yearly physicals where you go in and you get a great yearly physical and then you think to yourself, 4.5 months later, hey, you know what? Maybe I should get another one just for fun. It was so fun the first time. Let's get a second one, a bonus one. And so, he went in for that very common bonus physical. And, I can't help but notice that some of these things seem to be not aligning, as somebody who very much cares about Donald Trump's physical health. I just can't help but notice that, okay, so he's just so healthy and virile, he had to have a bonus health checkup. But now he's talking about additional things that happened at that, bonus physical. And, this headline, for example, earlier today, Trump says a recent MRI scan was perfect and he'd love a third term. Now, we'll set aside the second part of that headline for a second here, but because the first part is pretty interesting. I'm not a doctor, but I have been in for some yearly physicals in my time, and I can't help but notice that during my yearly physicals, they don't put me through an MRI machine. Like that's not something they usually do, actually. Yeah, like, is this just his brain was doing so good that they had to give him a bonus MRI? Kind of like the bonus physical he was going in to get? Like maybe this was his sixth time getting a bonus physical. And so they punched the card and he got a free MRI scan. And it was just perfect, like it's like going to a sandwich place. Jack, I've had quite a few MRIs. This is not a normal procedure. Okay, so we're gonna scratch the theory that this was all just him getting a free one, and them saying, "What the heck? Live large, big guy," and then they gave him a free MRI. It didn't. That isn't what happened here. Okay. President Trump made the comments on the second day of his trip to Asia. The Constitution limits presidents to 2 terms, but Mr. Trump has suggested he might try to circumvent it. Just... Now, if I had to take a look at the series of facts that I am being presented here, and again, granted, I'm just a Donald Trump health nut, a Donald Trump superfan who cares about Donald Trump's physical health and well-being, and if I was just presented this information, no medical training, and, the fact that his face is participating in the timeless act, rather, of power drooping. All the kids are doing it. Look it up. Power drooping. Where you droop one part of the face and then, just that part of the face repeatedly over days. He's participating in the power drooping. He's going in for bonus physicals, unexpectedly and unscheduledly. And he's having problems with blood pressure and also is being given bonus MRIs. I might say that perhaps this isn't a case of droop maxing, another term the kids come up with. It's not an example of droop maxing. It's not an example of just loving his health and going in extra soon. It seems to me that this might in fact be evidence that he's not doing so good. And especially because he's been going on Truth Social and trying to pick fights with AOC specifically and talking about like her IQ and then saying, oh, I could beat her in an IQ test. What they do is they bring you in and you have to remember, and it starts off easy. And then he lists like three different animals. I forget which ones they are. I didn't have this post up to read verbatim. I should. Let's see if I can grab that real quick because I just thought it was so bizarre. Ah, yes. Here we go. I actually have the clip.
They have Jasmine Crockett, a low IQ person. They have AOC's low IQ. You give her an IQ test, have her pass like the exams that I decided to take when I was at Walter Reed. Those are very hard, they're really aptitude tests, I guess, in a certain way, but they're cognitive tests. Let AOC go against Trump. Let Jasmine go against Trump. I don't think Jasmine, the first couple of questions are easy. A tiger, an elephant, a giraffe, When you get up to about 5 or 6, and then when you get up to 10 and 20 and 25, they couldn't come close to answering any of those questions. They have...
Yeah, so these are just tests he decided to take. He just, apropos of nothing, during his bonus physical, he decided to take these tests because, just for fun, to test his mental fortitude. You know how you guys are all going to your yearly physicals and then your bonus yearly physicals, and you sit down and you decide, hey, I'm going to test my mental fortitude by just, they're going to give me the hardest medical brain tests they got. And then they sit down and they ask you about, list the 3 animals in the correct order. Like, understand, and I forget who brought this up on Blue Sky, but someone brought up like the fact that almost certainly what's happening here is that they're telling Donald Trump that these are, essentially IQ tests. But if you are at all familiar with what is being tested here, it's a dementia test. It is a test for like short-term recall memory. Like it is designed to test whether or not he has the cognitive function to not be a threat to himself or others. And also, I can only tell you guys what I have seen other people attesting to, but folks who actually do this kind of testing say that he is getting the animals wrong. So, take that with a grain of salt, of course. But basically all of this is kind of indicating extreme mental decline, as well as like he's having strokes. And if he's having those miniature strokes, they are almost like those mini strokes are almost always indicative that there is a larger blockage on the way that could form. So a large one could be in his immediate future, which hence the unexpected MRI, hence the bonus physical, hence the mental aptitude testing. Of course, he's mentally incompetent. Well, yeah, of course, yes. Can you imagine being the poor doctor having to administer this stuff without hurting his fifis? Can you imagine the doctor who has to do that and then understand that, like, hit the cabinet around Donald Trump almost certainly wants to basically just make him a vegetable and then, like, Trojan horse their own policies into him. Also, Crockett graduated from the University of Houston Law Center in 2006 with the Juris Doctor and soon passed the bar exam. Yeah, no, like, all of these women are way more qualified and intellectually capable than he is, but, like, they're women of color. And, like, he views them as a valid target to hate monger against. He views them as weaker because he's a sexist and a racist, and he has been his entire life. It's not even, like, I'm sorry, it's not even that big of a stretch. You can just look at his public-facing comments to know that he is both of those things, not to mention all of the litigation against him on both of those accounts. He picks his targets here because of his biases and bigotries. And also, I just have to imagine, and this is kind of the last thing I have to say about this, but the reason we're seeing so much about putting his face on currency, putting his face on busts in the ballroom that he's building the ballroom at all, his attempts to, like, in a way, like, care about his legacy, like when he talks on Fox News about whether or not he'll go to heaven, or when he is just, like, babbling and he talks about how he deserves, like, a Nobel Peace Prize. Like, all of this is because he's afraid he's dying. He's afraid. Dude is, like, getting some pretty nasty health news behind the scenes, and, like, he's worried about his legacy. It's why he's talking about, like, oh man, I'd love a third term. And it's just like, it's just more legacy posturing to flatter his dying ego. Yeah, no, like, dude has been talking about, like, how one of the reasons he wants to end wars is so that he can, like, go to heaven. But I also want you all to understand, as all fellow folks who care about the health and well-being of Donald Trump very, very deeply, he might not actually be doing so hot. I know the administration keeps putting out comments like he could lift a truck, but, like, he does not appear to be doing so hot in actuality. That being said, worth pointing out that this guy has been saying a lot of weird things about his potential passing. And I know that's impossible, seeing as he's so strong, he literally straddles the world between life and death, but it's true, he might actually be afraid of passing. Is Trump in the cool zone? We all in the cool zone, baby.
Riverboat Jack is going to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, and plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.